YouTube, so I've been meaning to do a video on this backyard discovery cedar swing set from Sam's Club. We bought it last summer and put it up in June, I believe. So we're coming up on a year and it's actually held up really well. So some tips for putting up your own. One of the things that we did to help water drain away from it, and it also made it a lot easier to get everything level, was we put gravel on, or really under, every surface that was going to be touching the ground. So you can see there, and inside, and that's nice because it keeps it from getting muddy. But here at the ladder, and then over here where the swing set comes down, and I took some 2x4s and covered the gravel up just to keep the boys from pulling it out, and it also prevents any rocking from this. It wasn't really rocking, but just to be on the safe side to kind of help secure it. So what we did on this end was we built a box out of salt treated lumber, then dug a little hole, put some gravel in the bottom of the hole so that the lumber wasn't sitting directly on the dirt, put the box in, got it situated where we wanted it, put gravel around the box here to hold it into place, and then we just started filling up the box with gravel so that we could get it raised up high enough that we could get everything level. So as you can see, there's a decent little slope here in between this end and this end. There's probably 6 inches or so of change in the grade, but we got everything completely leveled up just by putting that box in and putting gravel down, and that keeps that end of the swing set off of the ground as well. So the other thing that we did was we stained it about a month or so after we got it put up, and I also stained the salt treated boards, and the stain doesn't look that great on the salt treated boards, but they were older boards, we didn't go buy them fresh. This is also salt treated lumber here, and it was a new board, so you can see it stains pretty well. One thing to take note of: whenever you start unpacking this stuff, all of your boards are labeled. Let me see if I can find a label on one, but they're all stamped with an alphanumeric code. So like right here, if you can make that out, it says E50. So what you're going to want to do is unpack everything. We did it under our carport so we could keep all the materials dry, but unpack everything and sort out all of your lumber. So take all of your boards that are the same number, stack them together so that when you get to the instructions and it calls for one of those boards, you don't have to go digging through everything to find one. You've already got it all sorted out. That really sped things up a lot. Another thing is you're going to want to drill to put all the screws in. For the bolts, we used the little Torx head wrenches that they provided, but there's so many screws that you're going to want to use a drill. And what I did, I think out of like 24 torque settings on my drill, I ended up setting it on like 3 or 4, because even though the cedar is rot resistant, it's still a really soft wood, and anything higher than that and it would just put the screw straight through the board. So make sure you really turn the torque down, kind of give it a test run. I would turn it down to like 2 or 3 and go from there if you need to crank it up a little higher, but just try to get it to where pretty much once it comes flush with the board, the screw stops, so that you don't take it all the way through. I think we may stain it again this summer. The stain that I got was an oil-based stain. It said if you did it I guess you could do it once and then do it again in 5 years, or you could do it 1 year and then do it the next year, and it's supposed to be good for like 8 years. So if I do it again this summer, then that may have us kind of to where it's going to be, we won't have to do it again while we have it, because I think our kids will be outgrown. They'll outgrow it by the end of, in 8 years. But the stain has really made a big difference. Some friends of mine have one of these, and they did not stain it. And after just a year or two, it was looking pretty rough. So I would highly recommend staining it. I mean, you can see the roof gets a lot of sunlight, and it still looks really good. And then the last thing is you can get these metal stakes, and they have a hole in the top of them, and I used either 3 or 3.5 inch deck screws. It comes with some stakes, but they're hard to get in right next to the playset, and they're really not particularly heavy duty. So they weren't cheap. I think I spent maybe $100 on those stakes, and I bought I think the 18 inch or 2 foot stakes, so they're driven in there quite a bit. But I bought one for each of these posts, as well as I got 2 for each of those posts here, because whenever the boys are swinging, especially if you get 3 kids on here at once, or 4, maybe if you've got 2 on the glider, it really starts rocking quite a bit. Actually, I guess I did 3. I didn't quite have enough room right there, but putting those boards on there helped with that some. But the stakes have been good. I also put stakes right here and got them really close, so I didn't have to worry about anybody getting hurt with them, but just to keep the slide from moving back and forth, because there's nothing really other than these 3 bolts that attach the slide to the swing set. So if you don't have stakes in, it's actually really easy to move that slide back and forth, and I was afraid it was gonna strip out the plastic up there. And what I'd like to do is put some blocks back here and actually screw into that so that it's firmly attached, but for the time being it's actually done really well like that. It hasn't budged. So hope that helps. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, subscribe. And whenever you go to put one of these together, definitely have a friend help you. I think me and my dad did it, and I would say we easily spent 60 man hours on it. I would say it was probably, with the 2 of us doing it, it took about 30 hours. So we spent about 6 hours a day, 5 days in a row. And really, it doesn't look all that complicated, but there is a lot of pieces and a lot of screws, and so it takes a little while to get it put up. But it's been really good so far. The boys are, I won't say they're rough on it, but they don't exactly try to be easy either, and it's holding up really well. So I think as long as you stain it and you get the gravel down to keep everything dry, and you stake it so that it's not rocking around while they're playing on it, it should hold up pretty well. So good luck, and have a happy summer.